And it's good because the more you know, the more you want to, in my case, you want to learn more. So this is one of the times in my life that I decided to go public. I decided to give lectures. I do have my job. I don't live on the UFO subject, and I really appreciate all the authors can do that 24/7. But in my case, I would like to share with people whenever time available. And I also sometimes as a tour leader, take people tourists to Cusco, Machu Picchu, the rainforest, and we have these amazing experiences there. And many years ago, when I was a teenager in 1979, when I was living in Lima, Peru, I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, came here to the United States in 1994, I have these amazing experiences. 3 consecutive UFO sightings. What happened is one night we were living in the countryside of Lima, and I was watching TV. The TV was brand new, only 3 months old, and it just out of the blue have an interference. And I thought that we have some problem with power failure. I was by myself in my home on the 2nd floor. Went back to downstairs, checked the power, everything was fine. Went back upstairs, the TV was out of order. So it really made me mad. So I started to smash the TV, tried to turn it on, fix it, and it didn't work. I went to my bedroom, and for some reason I thought maybe there's a blackout somewhere in the city. But even though we were in the countryside at that time, I opened the window, and I saw 2 red lights, bigger as a stoplight. But I didn't pay attention to that. I started to look around, and in the corner of my eye, I saw that these red lights, whatever they were, started to move slowly, with no noise at all, and it stopped very close in front of my house, let's say across the street, exactly across the street, and it started to move like this. So the moment I looked and I thought, it's not a plane, it's not a helicopter, what is this? The one on the left started to move and hover a little bit, and from the bottom, you see, I saw in a circular pattern these orange, yellow, and greenish lights, clockwise. And it started to elevate, stop, and it just went away. In a matter of seconds, it became like a red star in the sky and it stayed there. The other one started to move to the northern part of Lima, and I started to look almost halfway of my body outside the window, trying to look where it was going. The only one was leaving the area. All the street lights, the few street lights in the whole area, started to turn off. All of them, like a Christmas tree, turn off. The only one who remained on was in front of my house. And then the TV came back, bang. That was it. What was that? I was 17 years old. I never heard anything about UFOs in my life. Like any other teenager, I like to play soccer, I like to go to the movies, spend time doing nothing with my friends. Right? That's what you do when you're 17 years old, right? So everybody came late in that time, and that day, my family, my parents and my brothers, and I told him, So of course I have an older brother, and my brother, put me aside and said, "Hey Renato, while you were smoking, man, hey, it is true, I saw the UFO, whatever it was, Then my father was, yeah, sure, the green man and all this stuff. The only one who believed it was my mother. As usual, mother believe everything, right? So 2 weeks later, after that, I was on the city with my friends visiting our old neighborhood. And since I didn't have a car at that time, my older brother had a truck. He said, "Hey, Renato, it's Saturday night. You're gonna be with your friends. I'm gonna be with my friends. And what about if I pick you up around midnight in this intersection? We can go back to your home." So let's do that. So I wait for my brother, stopped by his car, jumped inside, went all the way back to our house, outside of Lima City, kind of isolated area. So we were driving, I guess like 15 minutes before we arrived to our home, and I saw in the distance, I cannot tell you exactly, 3 or 4 blocks ahead, we saw this red light in the middle of the freeway. And I told my brother, Gino, that's his name, I said, "Gino, why don't you slow down? It seems that this car is out of order, broken or something, and we don't have to, I don't want to have an accident there." So my brother slowed down. As soon as it slowed down, that thing, whatever it was, 2 or 3 blocks away, this red light again started to elevate, moved forward a little bit, that was my impression, it stopped for a few seconds and sent a flashlight, like a camera flashlight, and it stopped the engine of the truck. In that moment, I closed my eyes. It was in a heartbeat. I remember when it was starting to elevate, I closed my eyes like this, and I'm imagining it's a flashlight because my brother was, of course, he was the pilot and he saw everything too. But I was kind of scared, so I closed my eyes, and I remember looking at my feet, and I saw even my feet getting illuminated by the light. So some way, somehow, the light make a curve and get inside the cabin of the truck, and it stopped the engine. I didn't open my eyes. I was covering my eyes, and my brother said, whatever it was, is leaving the area. As soon as he said that, the truck started, and he managed with the shift. We went, instead of 15 minutes, we went just 5 minutes, like 100 kilometers per hour. So once we arrived, my brother, he said to my family, the Martians are following Renato. That was my second UFO sighting, like it is. The third one happened 2 weeks after that. Everything started 15th of April, 30th of April, and then 15th of May in 1979, when I was 17 years old. So the third UFO sighting was on my bedroom on the second floor of our chalet, the house, the countryside. And I was reading a magazine, and then my younger brother, Bruno, which right now lives in Argentina, he said, there's something flying over the home. Why don't you guys come here and check it out with me? So I run downstairs. My mother was in the kitchen. She went straight to the backyard. And my brother was looking at it. Look at that. And it was a lenticular metallic object flying in a hexagonal or pentagonal pattern. And it moved. When it moved, the sun rays hit the surface. You can see was something shining, a metallic, like on the plane, this in an angle, flying in an angle, you see the sun rays hitting on the wings of the plane. Same thing, no noise, whatever. And it stopped over the house. What was the distance from my house? I cannot tell. I was hugging my mother and my brother and said, now you believe me? They were like, oh my God, what is this? In a moment, when I said that, I felt a very beautiful connection, like a bond between myself and that thing, UFO, whatever it was. I felt a smooth vibration here in my crown area. I felt peace, harmony, I felt friendship. That's what I felt. And I said something else. I don't know what I said, but if my brother would have been here, my brother Bruno, he always remind me those sentences that I said. But I cannot remember, even right now. But he's the only one. I don't remember. And after that, I was thirsty of knowledge. Something triggered me. So every night, I could not go to sleep at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. My mother had to get into my bedroom, turn off the light, and send me to bed. Because, it was too late. And every night I was looking at the stars, trying to find out, do they believe in Jesus? Do they believe in Virgin Mary? We're Catholics, in Latin America. Do they believe in there are other races? How they come here from far away? So those questions were bombarding my mind all the time. So I started to go and visit all the libraries and trying to gather all kind of information. 1979, Peru, developing country, about UFOs. There were practically nothing about UFOs in that time. There's no way to talk to someone else who had the same experience. I felt a little bit lonely in that moment. So after that, it was in June, I went to sleep. And I felt one of those, looking at the starry night, I went back to sleep. And I remember falling asleep, and then I woke up and sat down on my bed. My bedroom was glowing. The light didn't hurt my eyes, but it was glowing. And then the door opened by itself. And a woman, wearing a aluminum pearl color uniform, kind of loose, with a belt here, and a very thin material. It looked like aluminum foil, kind of boots. She had that, wearing those kind of boots. Looks to me kind of ridiculous, really, to be so fragile. Walked into my bedroom. She was kind of Eastern European, Nordic-like looking. pristine green eyes. And the moment I look at her, she looked into my eyes, and I felt like an open book. I felt like I was in front of a teacher with this majestic beauty. At the same time, I felt overwhelmed, like I was in front of an icon. And I look at her, she looked at me, and she walked close to my bed, and she touched her front like this, and she said, "Renato, what you need to do is to use your mind." I was like, she said for the second time, more gentle, "Renato, what you need to do is to use your mind." And I repeated, "I need to use my mind." And she said, smiling a little bit, "What you need to do is to use your mind." And I repeated, "I need to use my mind." Then she walked like this, backwards, always looking at me. And then she went out of my bedroom, the door locked by itself, and I went back to sleep like this, bam, opened my eyes, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was so real, whatever it was experience, it was so real that I jumped out of my bed and I looked around. Everybody was still sleeping on my house. Maybe she was still there. It was so real that I thought the presence of something, energy in my house. But whatever she came from, whatever hallucination I had, it was cool. And it really triggered me to learn how to use my mind. So how come a 17-year-old, can learn how to use his mind? So I went to my local priest, I went to the Jehovah's Witnesses, I went to the Mormons, I went to Paramahansa Yogananda, Hare Krishna, you name it. I said, I can use my mind. And you have to close your eyes, this and that. So I never understood anything because I didn't want to, with all respects to other people who follow certain traditions, Oriental traditions, mantras or following a guru, that's fine, that's cool, I respect that. But I wanted just how to use my mind. Until I found an ad in the local newspaper about Silva mind control, the Silva method. I said, this is it. According to the news, you can go alpha level and expand your ESP, extrasensual perception, remote viewing, and all the things, healings and all the things. So this is what I have to do. So I got all my tips, and I went to this course, took the whole crash course for a weekend, and I became the #1 student. Then I graduated with Jose Silva himself when he visited Peru. So that was the beginning of my journey in 1975. To make the story short, in 1985, I have an extraordinary encounter on the Andes outside of Lima. But it was after 3 months of consecutive bombarding of synchronicities. I saw in my mind a place, a mountain, glaciers, river, trees, and I knew the place was nearby Lima. I don't know how to answer that, but even though I didn't want to go because I knew something was calling me to get there, that means also responsibility, something I need to know. And I didn't like that because it's something unknown behind this. You don't see face-to-face people, right? You don't see who they are, where they're coming from. They're good, bad, evil, like in the movies, They're gonna eat you alive or abduct you and chop your fingers, who knows what. So I was kind of reluctant, but it became worse. If I had to take the bus to go to my college, on the kiosk in the corner of my house, people were just buying newspapers, and the newspaper said the ad, vacation in the Andes of Lima. I go to my college and someone was listening to the radio and said, hey, we have an interview with people who are buying houses in the Andes of Lima, this and that, near this area, it's a river, it's a mountain, everything. Or I was walking even on the street and the passers-by were talking about, they just came from a camping. It was for 3 months. Until one day I decided to go to the place and I just said, and I shouted into the sky, to the universe, you guys, ETs, want me to be here? I'll be back on March 15 at 11 a.m. because I'm not coming here at night by myself. No way. Because let me tell you guys, an encounter with them is not like in Hollywood films. It's not like that. You have to wear your Pampers. Because they tell you, I'm going to wait for you in that hill at 10 o'clock at night. You have to be there alone. Go yourself and walk over there. All your ghosts, your shadows, start to come down. I say, ooh, give you chills. Ooh, they're going to do something to me. Ooh, the evil guys, the bad boys of the universe, right? Who knows what's going to happen? You have to conquer your fears when you saw that. Even they help you to reduce the stress of that moment. So 15th of March, 1985, from 1979, I was some sort of on a training, I would say. I arrived there, I waited there for 5 minutes. I was impatient, of course, and I thought, I'm gonna leave. I don't see anything here. The moment I said that, I felt like I was inside of a bubble. Something covered the whole area. The birds were not chirping, the wind was not blowing, even the noise from the river. Whatever I was in that place was exactly the same images I was getting for the last 3 months, for the last 90 days. And then an arc of light from here to the door formed, an arc of light, and it started to shimmer in a center. And it pops out a 6'2" being, human-like, with delicate gray hair, athletic, with his hands close to his knees, long arms. He walked almost halfway here, was not touching the ground, wearing a uniform with some sort of military, I don't know what to say, some sort of symbols here. And he raised his hand and said, I will not hurt you, because I was ready to pass out. I had my heart in my mouth. It was beating so fast, he couldn't just break my chest. I was sweating, and when he raised his hand, I felt like energy, being close to an engine, being close to a dynamo or some sort of engine, electronic power that comes to you and it calms you down completely. And he said, we are watching you. And he also said something else. He called me by another name. He said, that is your real name. That is your personal mantra. If you practice this mantra, you will open your higher consciousness. But you have to practice on a specific time, on specific days. You can do this. We like what you've been doing. And what I've been doing, I asked myself. They knew even my questions in advance. And in that time, I was completely vegetarian. No alcohol, no smoking. Even that gave me cause of friendship with my friends. Because everybody wants, when you're young, go to have a party, wild parties on the weekends, right? But I was more into meditation, vegetarianism, going in campings once a month in the southern part of Lima, in the desert area, having this amazing basic UFO interactions with them and some other experiences with other group of people. So what happened is, he told me that was my real name, that I have to continue doing this. I will we're going to be in touch, in contact. He said another couple of things, and then he went backwards, smiled. When he smiled, he didn't have, he was, for me, it looked like he had some sort of protection or just one bone. He had just one white thing completely. It really blew me away. I don't know what to say. That's what I saw. He told me he came from Alpha Centauri. And he went backward. He was swallowed by this light. He disappeared. Everything came back to normal. And I immediately kneeled down and started to touch the ground. And even hurt my hands because of the pebbles and the stones. I tried to touch the ground, touch myself. I'm for real. This is real. I can't believe what happened. And I sat down on a rock and I thought, this is for real, this is happening to me. I just have a contact. And then, that's the problem. What I call the day after effect is after the experience when you have to confront reality. So I have to go to the highway and take a bus back to the city. I wanted to shout to people, the passengers, I just had a contact with an extraterrestrial. sure they're going to believe me, right? They would throw me away from the bus. But what's happening is you have to learn. There's no manual, there's no book. That's what it is, a sociological experiment. And extraterrestrials are like cosmic anthropologists because they don't know. It's not the same when a Peruvian or Latin American have a contact with an Anglo, a German, a Japanese, a person from India, a person from Russia, a person from Alaska. It's not the same. Cultural patterns, cultural shape our belief system. That's what filters is different. Reactions are different. Some societies are more open than others. Others are more closed. Others don't even care about that, right? So I had to go back, and the only one who was in my house in that time was my mom. So she saw me like, what's going on? Tell me. So, we sat down close to each other, and I hold her hand and said, you have to believe me. This is what happened. I started to talk non-stop. And she was almost like crying, because she said to me, Renato, you are squeezing my hand so hard. I can handle the pain right now. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. But that was part of my story. And since then, I have other experiences. And the experience, no matter where I am, is a global. I've been in Sweden, doing UFO sky watches, they show up. I've been in Spain, you'll see some pictures here, they show up. I've been in Cusco, Machu Picchu, and tell the people, my friends say, take a picture of the sky, even if you don't see them, the digital camera will capture that. And then you can check the photograph and filter if it was retouched or not. Say, take right now because they are here. Start to take pictures, bang, the UFO's there. So statistically, how this works? If you can say that. Hey, take a picture now. I sense them presence. 1 in 1,000 can hit the jackpot. 1 in 10,000. 1 in 100,000. 1 in a million. 1 in 5 million. Those up and up. I don't know. That's how it works because they don't have a problem with time and space. That's what it is first. They don't have a problem with that. We do have a problem. They don't. We have a problem with consciousness. They don't. They have a cosmic consciousness beyond our consciousness. So how does this work? It works in a different way. They are in control of the contact, we are not. They trigger a non-logical response. Not illogical, non-logical response. They kick your butt. Boink! You're out of the four walls, out of the box, and you have to, by yourself, figure it out how you can keep the contact, because it's like any relationship. You have a relationship, there are certain terms and conditions that you have to be respectful, loving, communication, dialogue, conversation. And you have to be sincere. You cannot lie to them, no matter what. You're lying to yourself. And that's the way it grows. And that's the way you also make mistakes and you learn with error and trials. So the extraterrestrial presence is real and it's a merging reality into ours. They're not going to